Welcome, Lumineers! It is time to take a rest from your quest and check on into the Lore Keeper's Inn. This past weekend was perhaps one of the more unique Disney Lorcana challenges yet. Not only was it the first challenge in Canada, but it was a very unique meta. So Shimmering Skies is not yet play legal, but Bucky ban is officially in effect. So it was a little meta that only existed this one weekend. As a result, Ruby Amethyst and Steel Song rose to the occasion, but it also allowed for some new decks to kind of sneak in ways that were exciting for me. So with me today are 4 attendees who each had an opportunity to compete in our Neighbors to the North. And speaking of Neighbors to the North, our first 2 guests are Canadians themselves. They are the dynamic duo who create stunning content to help teach viewers all things Lorcana. They're Matheus and Charlie of the Inkborn Heroes. So welcome.
Hey, nice.
Thank you so
Thanks for
much.
having us.
Thank you for having us. We're very, very excited to be
Yes.
part of this. We've been watching for a long time, so it's nice to now be invited here. So thank you.
Yeah, we always dance when we hear the theme tune.
Exactly.
It's really-
We're
good.
just dancing.
That's good. That's good because now it kind of haunts me a little, but I'm glad that somebody's enjoying it. So now next we have 2 individuals that are part of an elite group of players who've been known to show up and show out at tournaments, with one of their teammates taking home a golden Mickey in Toronto. They are the husband and wife duo from the iconic and formidable Formidable Mountain. It's Dan and Kylie.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I think I told you this in person, Dan. Anytime I see anyone in matching shirts like the team, I'm like, I gotta get a team because that's cool. I don't match anyone.
Yeah, the jerseys are so cool. They're also like a
is.
great conversation starter.
Yeah, it is because then you're just like, well, why? You got so many things you can go. You can talk about the competition, your channel, all sorts of things.
True, true.
It's also nice when you're trying to find somebody at a tournament. You just look for the shirt and then you found them.
So easy.
It's very true. My husband apparently looks like every guy I found out when I went to a tournament. I just turned around. I'm like, oh God, they're all guys with backpacks. And it was,
It's
he's gone
helpful.
forever.
That's helpful a little bit when you're trying to figure out where the tournament is and you just follow the guys with backpacks, right? Like-
yes, the guys with backpacks. If they have a lanyard, double good.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Now, I know for you two, both Matheus and Charlie, this was your first challenge. So how was it going to a challenge?
When it gets started.
Yeah, it was really fun. Anyone who's watched our content knows we're like TCG noobs. Like, this is our first trading card game. So like, I think a year ago when we first heard about Lorcana, I don't think we ever expected to see ourselves doing something like one of these competitions. So it was really exciting to. We met loads and loads of really cool people. I got to say hi to Dan at one point as we were running between games, and yeah, it was just a lot of fun.
I think it's cool. It's like Charlie's saying, like coming from this casual background and not knowing much about trading card in general. I never thought that we would come. To be honest, I'll be very, very honest with you. Just because of the quantity of people as well it can be very overwhelming if it's something new to you. But I think getting more and more involved with the community, we noticed that it's different. It feels actually almost like a family. It's almost like a home. So part of that was actually getting to see those people in person for the first time. I think that was the biggest moving force towards participating, right, for us especially. But I enjoyed so much more than I ever thought I would. Independent of my scoring not being the best, but I wasn't expecting to do that well. So it was more about those connections and actually just getting to learn more about the community in general, right?
The bad news is once you go, then you're like, well, now I got to do all of them. Like after the first one.
I don't know. I felt like I need a break now from competition for a while.
Yeah, no, just get back in there. But
Yes,
it's always so it's cruel that they have the tickets go on sale right after the event, because like last time I was like, no, I just spent so much money, I won't go, and then it sold out in a second. I was like, instant FOMO. So
That is true.
now, Kylie, you had a different route because you were, I don't say you're peer pressured, because I'm sure it was more that you saw cool people doing cool stuff, and then that you decided to join in to the challenge fund. So this was your first official Disney Lorcana Challenge, correct?
Yes. I have not been to any of the DLCs until Toronto. And this is my first card game as well. Dan and I have been a couple for 19 years. And when him and I first started dating, he was very into World of Warcraft, and I never got into it. But I guess because I'm a Disney adult, I really, really wanted to get into this, and not only because it's Disney, but because it's something that Dan and I can do together.
Yeah.
And to be on the team, the Forbidden Mountain, is a plus. Getting to go to the DLC and hang out with the team, and every time I would come back with a result for my round, I would get so much encouragement and praise, and it made me feel really good. So I loved Toronto, and I'm going to Seattle. Apparently, I was surprised with the ticket yesterday morning, so I'm going to
Amazing.
Seattle too.
Yeah, they're so fun. And it's funny you mentioned that because, like, yeah, my husband played World of Warcraft and he played Magic, and we can be like, come on, I'm having fun. I was like, I'm not having fun. Because he'd be like, where are you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm riding a horse. I don't know where you are. And so, it's good. I think Lorcana, they did a brilliant thing making a game where you can come at it where you are in your journey. So
Yeah.
people who have played TCGs for 20 years can find ways to enjoy it. And then people who are like, I like pretty things, can also have a great time.
Exactly.
Now, Dan, this was not your first DLC. You've been to all 4 in North America. So how did this event compare to the other 3? Because I was looking and I think this was the smallest one so far, correct?
I think in terms of size, I believe it was smaller than Chicago. So I guess there's that. I don't think it really matters too much. Once you get over a certain number,
Yeah.
it kind of all feels the same. But yeah, I think the city of Toronto, like really going through and kind of talking about it with people, I think it was my favorite one. I love the city. I love the location. The food in the city was incredible. Like we ate good lunch on Saturday, good dinner on Saturday night, like all in the city, which is really great. We stayed like about 35 minutes outside of the city, like in an Airbnb, so we didn't really get to like live the city life. So on Saturday when we were there, we could take advantage of it and really have a good time. So I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you get to eat Cadbury chocolate, which is truly my favorite part of being in Canada. Is I fill my suitcase with Mr. Big and Wunderbar. That's it. That's just I'm smuggling all the Cadbury back.
That's it. Nothing else.
Exactly.
Yeah, we tried a poutine for the first time. I didn't.
Oh.
Okay, I was going to.
I
What
didn't
did
even
you
know.
Yeah.
I had no idea what it was. The team's like, no, like we have to do this, and I'm just like, yeah, guys, like whatever. I'll just follow. Like I'm not here for the ride.
It's not a gimmick. It's truly a great food. Like, it's
Yes.
potatoes
was
and gravy go
delicious.
together.
Yeah,
Cheese is great.
we
There's no way to go wrong, right? That's the
No,
thing. Everything you're
I-
putting in your mouth is just
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
it felt like when I looked at it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is delicious. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even have to try it. I was like, oh okay, yeah, duh.
The only reason it's not like sold everywhere is I think we're being defiant in America. We're like, well, we're not doing it because it's French or not
Yeah,
French or
no,
Canadian.
we
And
steal.
I think if
we steal like everything. I don't think that's true.
yeah, so that's true, right? We're like,
Steal everything.
so, but you'd think this one, it's perfect. It's a home run. Everybody loves it.
Yeah.
So that will
Uh,
tell you a secret. I wasn't like this. I was 20 kilos less before poutine existed. So be
Oh.
careful.
I did
Respect.
tell that tale last night that when I lived in Texas, that I still carry pieces of Texas with me because
So sorry.
lots of really good food down there, unfortunately. One thing I did notice is that the side events, did they start on Friday like they did in Texas, or did they wait?
They
Okay,
did the like the
did.
3-round tournaments, right? The
cool.
smaller ones.
So did you guys,
Yeah.
did any of you participate in any of the
We
side
did.
events?
So Charlie and I did. So for Friday, we were actually planning to arrive only on Friday, just before the check-in. But then we saw the side events were going on, so we drove over from Montreal specifically to try doing the most out of it. Especially because of the tickets, right? We're trying to get the most value for the prize wall,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So on Friday it was just on demand, right? So
Yeah,
you
it
don't
was
book before.
On-demand, draft, sealed, constructed, and pack rush as well.
Yeah.
So we took part in a constructed top
Yeah.
because we wanted to play with some Shimmering Skies cards, and we did a pack rush as well.
Yeah, it was very fun. I think, as Charlie's saying, just because of the rules of not being able to use Shimmering Skies on the main competition, the side events allows you either on demand or the scheduled ones.
Mhm.
And I really want to try the Daisy Duck Hyper Arc. So that was my way to bring Daisy Duck into DLC, right, in Toronto. So it was very, very fun. But I think the main difference, however, for Friday and Saturday and Sunday is the quantity of tickets you will get. It was in a very small quantity by comparison. Like even in the most effective on-demand side event, it wasn't as as big as a quantity as a prize as Saturday and Sunday.
I think it was
schedule.
the scheduled events just yielded more tickets.
So
And
much more.
So before we went, we had like a spreadsheet of like
Yes.
every event, how much we have to do to get as many tickets as we can. So we were using that as kind of like a guide for what to prioritize when we were playing.
It was very fun.
Did all 4 of you stay in all 9 rounds?
Yes.
Yes. So that's
Yes.
another part of that.
Oh no, Dan, you're the
So
only.
we
That's
did.
surprising. I was gonna think that.
No, so yeah, I have this thing where if I'm eliminated from the cut, I don't care anymore.
Oh, okay.
So
The carrot
like,
on the stick has
I
been
got
removed.
30 points. We were in round 8. I lost game 1. I said, okay, we're done. I conceded to my opponent and dropped from the tournament. Nothing else mattered. I could no longer make day 2, so I just enjoyed my round 9 and let everyone else play.
Yeah, it's hard. 9 rounds is truly something I didn't fathom could be as tiring as it is. But it's, yeah, I mean, if you're having fun, it's good. But if I think it's interesting too, because like I was in the middle of the pack all day. Like in Texas, there were 3 columns of people. There was like the really good column, the medium column, and then a few people in the you're not getting a lot column. And I always was just in the middle, just sliding up and down. So I had no concerns about making day 2, but I was like, no, I'm going to stick with it. And the ticket system is a little frustrating, I think, in the fact that like it's 1 to 9 points is the same as nothing. So that can be hard because then towards the end of the day, I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to concede because I need a full 7 points if I want to get to 30. So yeah, that math makes it. But it's
I
good.
think that it is cool, but I think even the mathematics behind it, right? Because Charlie was saying you almost reached the 30-point mark, so he would have gotten 7 more tickets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 tickets.
If I'm not incorrect. And it was literally just the way you are doing either a full game win or just partially winning. He wouldn't be able to get to 30 unless he fully won that one. So we felt like this is, in a way, they made it a system in a way that is so hard to get to the 30. If you're not doing as well, obviously. Which was my case. I got stagnated around the 25 points, so I didn't get to the 30 to get the additional tickets, right? But one thing that is said that I found very interesting is, in my experience, I was kind of like you. I was in the middle to the end, and you see those tables, the way that is aligned, the more you get to the quarter, you're worse and worse theoretically, right, in terms of points. But that, for me personally, it was the most exciting part. Not that I was losing, obviously, but because I met people that it was probably more like me, the casual people. I met people of different gender, different races, different ages, right?
Yeah,
so
you
they
were
were
saying
like,
it was getting more diverse.
it was getting super diverse. I was like, this is all I want. I want the diversity. So let me go back to the back of the line to meet those people, right? So it was fun in a way, but obviously at the same time you are in the reality where, as you said, then I knew already I'm not gonna make to day 2. But I decided to stick to the end just because
we were grinding for tickets.
I was grinding for the tickets. And in a way, you can still get quite a lot. If you do succeed, you're getting a lot just by playing, right? I didn't want to risk not taking that. And there was enough events on Sunday that we had before. Yeah. So I thought I'll take it. Let's do this whole thing. It was very nice, but very tiring, as you said.
Yeah.
Very, very tiring. Yeah.
We were talking about it before the event because Kylie was setting goals for herself. And, you know, when you really think about it, 30 points, the easiest way to get 30 points, you still actually need 10 wins. So you still have to win 10 of your 18 games, which, I mean, as like a first-time player, as a new player, as a casual player, that's a really hefty goal to set for yourself. Like it seems like, oh, it's only 10 wins, but it's like, well, that's more than half my games, you know? Like, so now all of a sudden I got to be 55% win rate. And if, you know, again, if it's your first time in these tournaments, long day, stress, you know, anxiety, all those things, they add up. So getting 10 wins is, and you can technically do it in 9 if you go 4-0, 0-4, 1-1. So, like, it's possible to get it in 9 wins in theory, but realistically, the easiest way to do it is 10 wins.
Yeah. So that does bring me to, so Kylie, were you in it for the tickets or the goal of just saying I did it? Because I want to know what led you to sit there for 9 rounds, which is a Herculean task.
Yes. I have this thing where since I started playing this game, I don't have a lot of experience. I've only been playing the game a year. So my goal for Saturday was to get enough tickets to get a Rapunzel. And originally it was a t-shirt because Dan has
Oh.
one and it is the softest t-shirt I've ever felt in my life. But I thought that a Rapunzel would be more of a trophy than
Yeah,
a
yeah.
t-shirt.
Yeah.
And when I played in like Set Champs or PAX Unplugged last year, even if I didn't do very well, I played the entire thing. No matter what, I will play the entire tournament just so I can get the experience. The tickets and the winning was a plus, but I want to get the experience. I want to be able to have more in-depth conversations about the game and the cards and the abilities that the cards do. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there.
Yeah. I think I said in the chat that I learn more in a tournament day than I learn in like 3 weeks of play testing because you're just
Mhm.
you're locked in, you're talking to other people who know their deck inside and out, and it's just now by the end I'm like, I'm gonna burn this deck actually. I never want to play it again. But it's still, I think I learned so much. And I think the fact that people stay, my husband was a Magic player like a decade ago. And when we walked in at like round 8, he's like, I've never been in a tournament and there's this many people still playing 10 hours into a tournament. Normally, you know, people just leave. So it is cool that they found a way to make people be like, no, I'm here. I'm still having fun. I'm still learning something. I'm still getting tickets, picking between a shirt and a card, which is a really hard decision.
Yeah, it really was. But the Rapunzel's very pretty, so I think I picked the right thing.
I think
The
so, too.
shirt, I told my husband, I was like, but then I have to worry about washing it. And then I'm like, what day is a special day I wear it? I was like, the shirt has so much more responsibility than the card. The card I just put in a case and it's protected.
Yeah. We had some leftover tickets, so you can see over my head we managed to get one of the Lorcana hats, but Matheus
On
said
stage.
we're not allowed to wear it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's too
very-
special. See?
I was like,
There we
you're not
go, then
sweating.
don't.
I was like, you're not sweating on it. Let's have our plushes wear it instead.
You could have like a swim cap and then you put the
That's
hat
true.
up.
I love my
A
hat.
protective layer for when you really
That's-
want to show. What? So did you get the hat? Did you guys get any of the promo
I got-
cards?
Yeah, we got two Rapunzels, one Cinder,
And the hat.
and the hat. Yeah.
Wow, you guys are working hard for the tickets.
So we are
Mhm.
really targeting, obviously, when we are coming to the event, we're like, okay, we want to get the playmat, obviously, right? The Cinderella. And I think if we had put more time participating in the events, we would get that. But we wouldn't pass that. That's the problem. And for me, as a collector, I wanted the cards way more. So there's no reality with our score that we can get a playmat plus one of each card, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? We prefer the cards so much more. That's what we collect. Playmat will
Yeah.
be. It's amazing, obviously. It looks so pretty. We wouldn't use it. I wouldn't let he use it in the first place. I'll be like, it's gonna
It'll be
make
on
the
the
closet.
wall
You're not gonna touch this. So
Special.
we target exactly. So we target for the card for sure. So it felt very good. It felt very nice because you see those pictures online, right? Of people in every DLC getting the card. It's like I want to get mine. It's
Man.
getting there. It's so close.
The mat is so pretty in person, though.
It's beautiful.
Something I
Mhm.
didn't anticipate, and I'm sure maybe Dan, you've seen this, where I didn't. First off, they just hand you the Rapunzel mat, just out there. So then these people who win are holding this Rapunzel mat like Spider-Man through a crowd, so they're and then they go to the vendor room, like 50% of them, and be like, well, I gotta go home. So who's so it's first off, it's just funny that this prize that I'm coveting, they're like, I just have to hold it. I don't know what to do with it. At least they put the let it go in a top holder, but the Rapunzel, that's too much pressure. That's just to the elements out there. But I did get to see someone was walking around with it, and I was like, it's so pretty. I've never seen a sparkly playmat, and
Yeah, they're very nice. They're
Mhm.
very, very well designed.
did David let you hold the golden Mickey?
Yeah.
The golden Mickey? This?
What? What?
Oh, no.
End the stream or end the chat. It's
So
over. So David's no longer with us, is what you're saying. We're gonna see a news story tomorrow.
No, but funny story. Nunez really had to leave. Like we got him to the airport to go through customs in less than 45 minutes to his flight.
Yep.
Wow.
So
Through downtown Toronto.
yes,
Mm.
literally.
That's
Yes.
impressive.
So, basically, when the ceremony ends, he legitimately walks over and hands us the Mickey, and then goes and gets his other prize, and then just like throws it at us. And he's like, "All right, let's go take this picture with this Mickey because we got to do that." I'm like, "Yeah, I agree." and then we get out of here. But basically, the reason why we have the cards is because he's like, I don't want to go through customs and even attempt to like tell this what it is. Although the ironic thing is, and this really, you guys might get a laugh because you might not know this. When you fill out the form for these cards, right? Like, you know, when you get these cards, you have to sign a paper, and on the paper it says that they are worth $10. That's it.
Wow.
It's all they're worth, guys. $10.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was just like, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to have it. So just please take it home, drive it home, because we were driving home. So yeah, we ended up with the Mickey, and we're the team. Scott and I are gonna go, and we're gonna get it PSA graded for him and everything like that. So yeah,
That's very nice. So it's a sign of good friendship, because I don't know. That's a
oh yeah, I mean,
yeah.
you know, you might see, or you might get the feel that like, oh, we're this hyper competitive people. Like, no, like honestly, the Forbidden Mountain is I built the team on friendship. I built the team on through the last year of people that I met, I had conversations with, I went out to dinner with. Like I built these relationships, and those were the people that, you know, for us, it's very important. We've been building this brand since, you know, about 18 months now. If you're going to put the jersey on, I got to trust you. I got to believe in you. I got to know that you're going to be good for the brand. You're going to support the band. You know, you're going to be a brand ambassador. And David Nunes is one of the best in the business. He is absolutely TFM, and I love him for it. So like, you know, him handing me these things is just, it's there, you know, it's not shocking to me at all, because that's the trust that we built. And honestly, I've only known David Nunes for like 5 months. Like, it's not even like someone that I've known my whole life. You know, it's just, we've been together, we've been playing in these tournaments together, we've been talking, communicating, and he's just like, yep, I trust Dan with my life, and here it is. So
And Mickey.
yeah, and Mickey,
And
exactly.
Mickey.
And to get him to the airport in like 38 minutes from downtown. So, you know,
Yes.
So stressful.
I've got to ask though, what number Mickey did
it
did he
is
get?
number 25.
Oh, that's
Oh.
amazing.
That's a good number.
That is
It's a
good
square
number.
number, and I like that. It's
Mhm.
odd
That's
but square,
amazing.
therefore I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very cool. Because sometimes I went to one Grand Prix for Magic, and I felt like there was like this distant canyon between people there for fun and people there to win, and I don't feel that at Grand Prix. Like, I mean, even I watched Zach Bivens was leaving for the day, and I was like, oh hey, it was really cool watching Lemon Lime, because I was watching the stream, and then I got there and he was leaving. He's like, oh yeah, you want to see my card if you want to see it? And I was like, what? That's just so nice to just be like,
Yeah.
just casually be like, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. I'm like, it is the biggest deal. I'd be passing out, but everyone's just nice, and everyone is
I mean,
kind,
don't get me
which is
wrong.
exciting.
Like, if it was number 1, it'd probably a little different, you know, but
That's true, right?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think Nunes still would have handed it to me.
Yeah, even at D23, I ran into Melissa and her husband
And Ben.
Ben,
Yeah.
and they were at D23, and every time I saw them, I was like, oh hey, and it's just and they had their jerseys, so it's kind of like a friendly, like, you can talk about Lorcana with me, and I'm nice.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
And there's a chance that they might just pull out a golden Mickey, as I just saw. They might just be like, here it is.
I don't think I wouldn't expect that anymore. I'm pretty sure
That's true.
there won't. I don't expect this to be in my possession much longer.
That's true. It's a lot of pressure too. I told my husband the other day, I was like, should we put our enchanteds in like that fire safe vault? Because we have like a fire safe thing for like our passports and birth certificate. I was like, does Elsa go in there? 'Cause it's one of the more expensive things I own, and she's very flammable. So
Kind of where ours is a protected box. It's just
Yeah.
yeah,
I
was
just
like,
have
you
them on my
know,
desk.
oh,
Whatever.
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, you just like, let me shuffle through all the other stuff I have.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Whatever. It's fine. No big deal.
And even in a sleeve, just loose.
yeah, it's just no sleeves, nothing.
Yeah, and I do say there's no wrong way to play Lorcana except without sleeves. That's the wrong way. You're a mad lad.
Those 2-pack games, you don't even know you have an enchanted. That's scarce.
I know.
Not a fan.
That's too
Yeah.
much pressure.
Not a
That's
fan.
like one caveat. I'll be like, let me just. Okay, I just
Yeah.
need to look at the corner, and now I can do it.
That's so good. I'm gonna tell you. I think our favorite part of Puck Rush is
Is the not knowing what
it's
you're
not
doing.
knowing.
Yeah.
It is so
It's
fun.
so good. It is so fun. You have no idea, and then suddenly you're holding that face, that poker face with enchanted in your hand. It's
Yeah,
like-
no. If
I'd
I
like to have
if I opened my hand, I was like, yeah, excuse me, I gotta put this in a sleeve.
Yeah, no. We got a Prince Naveen out of the last pack rush we did,
Yes.
and
Oh, wow.
I had to I had to show Matheus straight away and get it protected, and did not play with that card.
Yeah, no, I think Pack Rush has been one of my favorite developments because I love to buy packs, and it's so fun to be like, hey, if I buy 4 packs, I just bought a little game, and so
Exactly.
then now it's a new way for me. I used to be like, if I buy a case, or a box, we can do 2 rounds of sealed with me and my husband. And now it's like all I need is 4 packs. So I can
Yeah.
titrate depending on the night I want to have.
And
And
it's
how much-
interesting. It's interesting seeing the progression of the rules between DLCs.
That's
So
Yes.
actually, in Toronto, the rules had changed again. So you start with 7 cards, and not everything's inkable anymore. So that really changed the dynamics of
It
it.
did.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
start with 2 ink in play still, right?
You
We
still
do.
start
We
with
still
2
go with
ink,
that, yeah.
yeah.
But one of the previous DLCs, or even when I think it got first
I
introduced.
think they introduced it
back
in
then.
Dallas, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it was Dallas.
Yeah,
They
it's
did
like an
say
official, yeah.
initially, that there was only 5 cards in hand,
Okay.
so you don't have 7 in the beginning.
Okay.
And
So it's 5, and everything
everything's
can be used
inkable.
as ink,
Yeah.
even if they're not inkable. So it's been changing, and adapting, obviously, which is cool. It makes harder to make content because we're listing the rules in the content of the video, and it changes
Nah,
every
it
time.
makes it easier
It's
because
fine.
now you can say this is the updated pack rush.
Exactly.
It's
Video
easy,
number 2.
guys. Easy.
I'm gonna say I think the old everything is inkable was more fun than now you have like these terrible uninkable cards that you can't
Yeah.
do anything with.
Gaston looking at you.
Yeah,
Being
but
like this 10 cost, like, I'll get there. Just
Yeah.
wait.
yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, you start with 2 ink in play, but
Yeah, right. I played Pack Rush and Shane and Ryan and Steve were there passing out packs, and they're like, "Oh, this is Pack Rush. You guys know how to play?" And I went, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, then you go ahead." I was like, "No, I don't want to. No, I don't want to do that."
I lied.
Yeah, I don't actually know, actually. And then the person was playing, and they're like, "And I'm gonna tap this." He went exert, and I was like, "Woo, this is." It was all in good fun, but I was like, "You just got
Was
in
that
trouble."
hold on? Was that Steve or Ryan that did that?
That was Shane.
That was Shane. Ooh, okay.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah, he's like exert without even like looking up.
Yeah.
I was like, "Ooh,"
Like, my bad.
but it's hard. Old habits die hard. One day I'll
Yeah.
stop calling locations lands. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. Now, my last question before we kind of talk into some technical stuff. Was there anything that you were surprised was at the DLC? And is there anything that you're hoping they add, whether it be like a side event thing? Like one time somebody suggested, like, it'd be so nice if they had a puzzle room where if you get your match early, you can go play with some Ravensburger puzzles and just chill. Are there anything that, for any of you, that you were surprised and or hoping to see?
I honestly thought there would be more people. It'd be more of a thing because there was like only 2 vendors,
Oh,
and the room where the feature matches was like I don't know, like I think I just expected it to be a little more because I've watched every stream that's been on, hoping that I'd see Dan or one of the other team members on the stream. And I guess it was in my head, I had different images of what it looked like in person, and then I got there in person, I was like, oh, this is it.
well, and I think it seems like it changes from thing to thing. Like Atlanta, I
Yeah.
saw a picture and they were all in like a corner of a giant room. And then Texas, people were pretty happy because it was all, they had the playroom and then another room. And then there's 8 vendors, I think. So it just sounds like it really varies.
Mhm.
Are they all run by PPG? Do they run every single one?
Yeah, PPG is
think
contracted
it's
through
not-
the First Worlds.
But it's just North America, no? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Just
the
North
Europe
America,
has
right?
different-
Yeah,
yeah.
PPG does North America. I forget the name of the company that does the European ones.
Well, they have the Illuminary in Europe.
That's
so-
what I was
Right.
gonna
Right,
like, I
yeah.
feel like Europe, they get the Illuminary, they get the artist there as well. It feels like a lot more of an event.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
North America,
Yeah.
we kind of get 2 vendors and some side
Yeah.
events.
Well, that was Toronto. Yeah. Again,
Yeah.
we weren't in the other ones to compare, right?
Yeah.
But I think personally for me as a collector, being in the situation that we had some tickets at the end and we didn't know how to deal with that because it's worth something.
Yeah.
But I cannot trade for anything. I wish there was an
No,
official
you
way.
can
I
trade. You're allowed to
No,
trade.
no, I
them.
know.
Yeah.
No, I
yeah.
know,
Yeah,
but that's my
yeah.
point. I wish there was an official way
Like
that
a
is
trading
literally a
post.
trading post. Like
Okay.
this is where you meet to trade tickets for enchanted cards, for other things, right? Because there's such a legality behind
Yeah. I mean,
that is like you
Mhm.
cannot sell,
think-
obviously.
I think you normally just have people like standing around the like where you claim them, and like you can just be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I
Yeah.
got 7 tickets for trade." You
I'm
know?
just too awkward.
Yeah.
I'm awkward.
Okay,
I can't do
well,
that. I
listen,
can't
I
do
saw
that.
you now
saw a
play.
guy-
You now play card game. You got to get over that. Like, you just
Yeah.
gotta get past it.
I saw a guy walking around with like a plastic sign saying what he wanted and what he had to offer. Which I
Perfect.
thought was like, that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
that is smart.
Yeah, I mean that
Yeah,
But I imagine if
requires-
there was an official place that is for trading, right?
Yeah.
That'll be super, super cool. But I understand as well. I don't think they. Well, I suppose
Yeah.
maybe they do want to incentivize. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's a better.
But I think like even trading like cards, like if people want to
Yeah.
trade cards for other cards, or someone even said it would be amazing if people could go and trade pins.
That's true.
Mm.
Like just having like spots for those like activities that aren't just competition. And I think like
Mhm.
the puzzle room is such a nice idea of just like you need to decompress after a hard game, you can just go and like do a little jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah. And it was funny when I went to D23, like I was so stressed that everything was going to sell out. But like the first thing to sell out was like a puzzle. And I was like, oh, could you imagine you go to D23 and you're like, I'm just here for the puzzle. What are all these losers here doing in line? And they're like waiting in line for 4 hours. Or like, these guys are weird. And then Dan, I know you've seen the best and the biggest, the smallest. Is there anything still that you're like, that would be kind of cool if they
I
added?
mean, so I think what a lot of people don't remember, ironically, is that these were supposed to be for 512 people.
Yes.
That was it. Like that was the bar that they had set for themselves, and obviously we crushed that bar beyond belief. But when you really look at these rooms, for me as a competitor, and honestly, like I've been traveling to events for 15 years now, maybe longer realistically. So when I get to a room and I can see it, you can tell that the original bookings were for 512 players. And then they added on. Atlanta was the only exception. They legitimately booked a new room, like a new building, to fit 2,000 players. So that's why Atlanta, I thought, was the most, like, for the event itself, was the best event, because everything was in one room. And this even goes to the extent of the ceremony at the end. Like the ceremony at the end, everybody was there. Everybody was in a room. They announced over the loudspeaker. Everybody could hear. Everyone knows it's happening. So like, as they're announcing Joshua was the winner, like you had still 500, 600, 700 people kind of all standing around the ceremony and seeing it. Whereas every other event has been in a different room, or they have moved people, or like the side events were in this room, and like everything got changed around. And I remember from Atlanta to Chicago, I like almost felt bad for Brian because there was just nobody there. Like they didn't even know it was happening. Like we didn't even know that like the tournament was even still going on, So because of the way it was all set up, because Chicago was very like private. Like everything was like in this weird small little room. And honestly, you had no idea that the tournament was even still being played. So it was a little worse. Dallas was a little bit better. But it was still kind of like the end of that was still like kind of separated, so it still felt. But I did like the vendor room much better in Dallas. Toronto was the weird one. Like only having 2 vendors, that's pretty rough. I mean, it's 1,000 players plus, let's just say 300 attendees. Like you're talking about 1,300, 1,500 people, and there's 2 vendors. Which is also kind of bad for people too, because like the competitors that made top 64, there's only 2 tables competing for your prizes. A lot of people want to get out of there, but like they controlled everything. So like not I'm not throwing shade at the vendors in any which way either, but it's like you don't really have a choice. You're just like, oh, I this is what they're gonna offer, and there's no one else here. So if I want to move this card today, this is what I'm getting for it. So
and I think it's funny because I mean Disney fans are very willing to part with their money. So it's something where it's like if you have places to sell pins and things, people will buy it.
Yeah.
So I think it's like maybe they just need to tell vendors like, trust me, these guys will spend money on the silliest stuff. So
yeah,
come here.
As far as adding, I mean, I think the idea that overseas they have the Illuminary, I mean, that would be really cool to see once. It's kind of crazy that they get the whole thing every time, and more power to them. They must store all that stuff over there. I don't know. We can only hope that Continentals in Disneyland is just like over the top. That's all I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that Continentals in Disneyland is like, wow, this is like actually magical.
I think it's going to be, right?
It has to be.
It has to.
It has to be. Yeah, I agree. So like, I really hope that that's what we get it. Yeah.
Imagine Mickey Mouse is the one that gives the prizes.
It better be.
Yeah,
I mean, you better have like
Mickey
gold
giving the
tin
golden
also.
Mickey. Yeah,
So-
Exactly. That would be. Yeah.
I briefly worked at Disney World, and when they handed out name tags, Mickey Mouse would hand you your name tag.
Oh.
And let me say, as an adult, I was trying to play it cool, but I'm like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened. Every job orientation has been so much more sad since that one.
We have a-
downhill from there.
we have-
Yeah, right. They're just like, here's your name tag. I'm like, what?
Yep.
Now, the top 64 I thought was pretty diverse. This is me pretending to be Knives Nerd Corner. I did some data analysis. It was stressful. But one thing that I found super interesting was looking at the top 64 between Dallas and Toronto. And it's just funny to see that basically 50% of it was Bucky in Fort Worth. Sorry, Dallas is not Fort Worth. Texas, I'm sorry.
It's all the same.
And then just knowing that once you got rid of that, then it went down to 2 players out of the top 64. But I did think it was interesting that even without Bucky, there were still true believers and still people that could take Emerald Steel all the way to the top 64. Do you think, were there any, was a breakdown surprising to you? And also, how did you guys decide what decks that you bring? Because I know that amongst us, we have 2 Ruby Amethyst, which I think are the most comfortable decks. I always say that if I'm going to pick a deck to play all day, it's this deck.
It's my deck for sure.
Steel Song, which I find super stressful, and I'm very interested to hear why, because that deck is it'll test you. And then Kylie's deck, which I think is beautiful and lovely and wonderful, and I love it. It's a new deck. There's only characters. It's so good. So how did you guys? I'll start with you, Kylie, because I have romantic feelings for your deck. How did you decide on this deck?
Well, I like the aggro aspect of the decks. Because the way my brain works is I'm like, okay, I have to turn the card, I have to exert the card, but I also have to attack, but I also have to strategize, and like I can't compute. So I have to take things one thing at a time, and aggro helps me do that because all I really have to do is turn my cards. All I have to do is quest. And I have to give a shout out to Super Goof. He was my MVP of the weekend. One game, I think I was at 17 and I had 1 lore on the board, but I was like, I need 2 more. I was like, I need to top deck a Super Goof. Come on. And it was my turn. I drew my card and it was Super Goof.
He's a hero.
Was like, yes, he is. Ariel Spectacular Singer was my favorite card. Now it's Super Goose. Just because of Toronto.
That's good. He hasn't seen as much play as I thought he would, because I just feel like there's so much bounce shenanigans to be had with that mischievous pajamaed man. I always forget. So for podcast listeners, so the Ruby Emerald deck, there's 0 songs or actions or items. It's
our friend, member of the team, Dick Burns, actually made this deck for me. I don't know if any of you saw Tiffany on Facebook. She had an Emerald Ruby deck, and it was basically just a whole bunch of random cards she threw together, and she won a set champs with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to try that. So I talked to Dick and I said, can you help me build a deck like Tiffany's deck? And he came up with this, because the whole items and locations and songs still part of that strategic aspect that I'm not very good at. So he just made this with a whole bunch of characters, and it worked out pretty well for me. I have to give a shout out to Dick, because I wouldn't have done as well as I did without this deck and him coaching me and play testing with me, so I can understand the cards, understand what they do, how they interact with other things. The deck is not called Emerald Ruby Aggro anymore. It is actually called Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh, wow.
I love that.
I love that.
Because it is a version of Tiffany's deck. So it is not called Emerald Ruby Aggro anymore. It is Breakfast at Tiffany's. And I am working on a Breakfast at Tiffany's 2.0 with 4 set 5.
That's great. Yeah. I have a signed Dick Burns card, so that's worth something. It's not in the top loader because I'm just so casual about it, but now if we talk about,
be worth something someday, so you got to put it in the top loader.
It's true. But then on the opposite side, so we have let me see, how do I go backwards? Oh, yeah. So you're talking about, oh, I just want a deck where I play cards, turn them sideways. So you have the opposite of that. You have a deck where every turn you have to make a critical decision.
I don't know. I turn a bunch of cards sideways too. I
Well,
feel
that's true.
feel the same.
I just feel like Steel Song, there's so many critical junctures. It's just like, for me, any deck with a whole new world, I'm just staring at it going, oh, it's too much pressure. I think Steel Song, I played it for 2 sets and I'm like, I need a break. It's too stressful. But I mean, this is a classic, beautiful Steel Song list. What made you want to go to Steel Song in this particular meta?
It's the best game. It's the best deck in Disney Lorcana.
It is. It's very versatile.
Yeah.
It'll rise to any occasion.
I firmly believe that this deck is the best deck on the play in Disney Lorcana. I actually think it like almost unbeatable when going first. So when you really just like justify, hey, I have to win 14 games to be in day 2, the idea that you can start 9-0 or just say, hey, I'm going to get half my wins because I should never lose on the play on average. It's basically like saying I only need to win 5 more games on the draw. And they're just, I don't think there's another deck in Disney Lorcana that is that high of an average when going first, with the ability to actually play on the draw almost the exact same. The best part about this deck that I love the most is that when we were deciding who was going first, I was always choosing to go first in game 2
Yeah.
because the mulligan strategy for this deck almost doesn't change regardless of matchup. And because of that, I'm just always mullining basically for the same hand every turn. So I'm never really trying to utilize the information. It almost doesn't matter what my opponent is doing, in all honesty. So that's why I played this deck. I played this deck in Dallas. I finished in 70th place. I felt really good about it then. I brought it to Toronto and felt exactly the same about it. I didn't do as well with it, but you're looking at the 2nd place finish of the DLC, so clearly this deck was, as anticipated, one of the best decks in the format.
Did he run the same deck list? Or you
Same
guys had
exact deck list, yeah.
Wow. That's gotta be, it feel good, but also like so close.
Nah.
But it's any given Sunday kind of thing. So
one game win away from being a DLC champion. You can't get much closer.
yeah. Now I also appreciate that you two played what I like to call the Honda Civic because it is reliable and it's dependable. It gets you there. So are you guys tried and true Ruby Amethyst players, or was this just a choice you're like, I just think it's poised for the meta right now?
I started out as a Steel Song player for set 1 and set 2, and then I played one too many Ruby Sapphire matches, and I was like, I'm done. I'm done with Steel Song for now. I think this deck, it's a deck I feel super comfortable with. I think it's very flexible in lots of different situations. But I love the playstyle of kind of getting the Queen's Castle down and then controlling the board from there and just letting the Queen's Castle do itself like that. For whatever reason, I just think that is the most satisfying way to play the game. So that's why I played this deck. And I kind of felt like just the discussions going into Toronto, I knew it was going to be a hostile environment for Ruby Amethyst, but I haven't played since the set champs. This was the deck I took to the set champs with a couple of extra big CCs in there. So I was like, I'm comfortable with it. It's maybe not the best pick, but at least I'll have fun playing. So that was why I chose this one.
And I think you dropped the Jim Hawking as well, right? You thought
the Jim Hawkins was in the list just because I more support the locations.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, you guys must have a little bit of a high pain tolerance if you guys are play testing these two decks against each other. Because for people who can't see the screen, both of you are playing Ruby Amethyst, and that is one of the most painful mirror matches a person can experience.
I actually really enjoyed the mirror match. I don't know.
Okay. You like the...
It takes a lot of time to be
I must be a masochist.
You probably are, because it does take forever. It gets a little bit tiring, but I don't think we were testing much against each other, right? We were testing more in our LGS, so at least there was that element. Before my deck, specifically, one thing you'll learn about me is that I have no idea what I'm doing most of the time when I'm playing. So what I wanted from the beginning when I started playing Lorcana, I just knew that I loved Amethyst. That was the color for me. I loved it. Starting from the characters more than the actual gameplay, all the sorcery and stuff. That is my color. So from there, when I first combined with Ruby, just in general, since first chapter, it just felt comfortable, right? And I think as the meta grew, it was a comfortable matchup anyway to start playing around that. But on my end, I do play with a lot of spiciness, similarly to what we saw on Kylie. So we have the Super Goofy, we have the Prince Eric. I'll never take out the Prince Eric because I think it's a big surprise. Because especially in a big tournament, people would expect me to actually have the Flame Riders and all the other things that are the method at the moment. And when I put the Prince Eric, they just lose control there. What do I do now to make sure that I can be protected and not get banished in the process, right? So I like those surprises, and obviously Lumiere as well is something that a few times back in our LGS, just having the different Lumieres coming to the board, I was literally using my magic brooms to banish a location that has like a 7 willpower, and that always felt super cool. Like literally a magic broom being able to be strong enough to banish a location. Obviously, a combination of magic brooms, right? In this
Yeah.
case, but it just feels good. Clearly, it wasn't successful. In the DLC, it wasn't as
You
successful,
got tickets.
but I had a lot of fun. Exactly, I got tickets. I made, I think, 25 or 26 points. I don't know. It was fun. It was very, very fun. I'll probably still stick to it unless I'm playing the new Hyper Aggro with Daisy Duck, because I'm just obsessed with Daisy Duck and Donald Duck bodyguarding her. It's just amazing. So I might go away from Ruby.
Temporarily. You can always go home, you know.
Exactly.
I will say that it is fun to have. My spice when I won my Ursula was Pascal, the 1-drop. They're like, what is he doing here? And I was like, well, he's here to make your day annoying because people weren't playing Teeth Inhibition anymore. So they're just like, I don't like him. And I'm like, well, he's here. So I'm just going to keep turning. Now, when I said this is my least favorite mirror match, Dan, you made a face. So what is your most dreaded mirror match?
Oh, Amber Emerald mirror matches are absolutely awful. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
this deck over the last couple sets have just finally gotten away where it's pretty fun. Honestly, I think there's actually a lot of strategy to the mirror match, which is great. I will say, from my point of view, Matheus looks way more tuned for the mirror. So I would not want to be playing these two decks against one another and be staring at Minnie Mouses and Super Goofs and Prince Erics. I'd probably be like, why are you playing those cards? You're clearly going to beat me.
Yeah. Just a menace, just to make you feel scared. Now, speaking of lemon lime, as I've been lovingly calling, people call it, I think it's fun when a deck gets a nickname that sticks.
Yeah.
It took home first place, which was exciting, scary, all of the above. Were any of you shocked and surprised to see this one finally bubble to a win?
It was horrible to go against it. I can tell you that. And I think Charlie felt the same. Our friends felt the same. It was like literally back-to-back lemon line. There were so much DLC Toronto that got me in surprise in that aspect. And obviously, especially for my deck, having the Under the Sea, being able to just take all my cards down if Lumiere is not on the board to increase their strength, right? So it felt very threatening. As soon as I would see someone taking those 2 color out in front of me, I was like, let me get out of here. I'm done for. But I love the deck. I love the synergy of the deck. I think it's such a cool concept. So I'm happy that it succeed. But it's scary to go against.
Yeah, I think it was probably a good pick for Toronto just because there was so much Ruby Amethyst, and this is a terrible matchup for Ruby Amethyst. And I know my first 2 games of the day I didn't play Lemon Lime, but on either side of me were Lemon Lime mirror matches. Like my first 2 rounds, so I was like, okay, there's going to be a lot of this here today. I did play it twice. I managed to beat it and split it, so that was more than I could ever hope for.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, you probably get to top decking pretty fast in a deck like this.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I just know that Sir Hiss was the prettiest girl at the party this tournament. I saw Sir Hiss. Anytime there's a green deck, Sir Hiss was there, and I was like, okay, well, who knew that little 3-drop evasive would... I mean, I guess it makes sense with Diablo around. And it makes sense he's a snake, and then he's eating the bird. Now, obviously, this list is familiar, although I do like when I pulled his list, it automatically pulled Enchanteds and like the fancier cards, so it makes it look like this list is much.
This actually looks like my deck, because I'm a slight Enchanted gamer nowadays.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy enough to play Enchanted like foil Rapunzels and Cinderellas or anything like that, but
not yet. I mean, there's still time. I think if you.
You know, $200 or $300 Cinderellas is one thing.
Right.
$2,000 or $3,000 Cinderellas.
You
Triple
will be
sleeve.
surprised because I actually play against someone.
Oh
I'm
no,
not even joking.
I saw it. Yeah,
Did you
Yeah.
saw the guy? He literally had
the
You
Emerald
had to play
Steel.
mats.
they had the Rapunzel playmat.
Yeah,
So the actual foil Rapunzel playmat. Every single card that could be an enchanted, it was a full play set
yeah,
of enchanted, and all 4 Rapunzels were the foil of Rapunzel.
yeah.
It was like,
Wow.
and he was on the button, so it was like you can't have won that because you were playing against me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
clearly you didn't have to succeed to get those. And then he said, "I'm a collector," so
Yeah,
so
man.
I'm guessing he bought it, right?
Yeah.
Fair on him. He looked amazing,
Yeah.
but I was like, I don't want to touch your cards. It's just
Yeah.
terrifying.
Especially in a game where when you hand your opponent your deck to cut, like
When
when
they pile
when
shuffle.
somebody picks up my deck and like shuffles, I'm like, man, like what do you like? Stop that,
Mhm.
please.
I know. It sends chills through my spines when someone does the pile shuffle. My husband will do it every once in a while. I'm like, he's like, it's fine. I'm like, it's not fine. Emotionally, it hurt. Physically, it hurt. So obviously, it was exciting, and so exciting that this Mickey in this picture that we're looking at is currently looking at you, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Now the other top 8. I mean, I don't talk about Sapphire, so we're just gonna skip all Sapphire decks because that's not a real color. People don't play it. But
I like how you think.
yeah, I'm like, Sapphire's not real. It can't hurt you.
Yeah, that's like my strategy in every single DLC.
Yeah.
Spoilers, guys. It's hurt me in every DLC. It's
I
actually
swear-
ended all 4 of my DLCs.
If someone was cheating with Sapphire, I'd never know because the stuff they're doing, like, because they're just like they're like drawing 3 cards and they like throw with one behind them, and then they're like in an ink 30, and I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. Like one on DLC, he had 22 ink. I'm like, you don't need 22 ink. You're being
Well,
selfish.
Just being so.
But he made it work. He won. So
Well,
selfishness pays off. in the
I
end.
just recently found out the math is 26 ink for double dime Tamatoa. So just in case you like needed to know or
That's what they're
something,
building to.
maybe they do need
Yeah.
26 ink.
It's my last color. I'm gonna build. So like the next decks we're covering are Emerald, Amethyst, and that's what I'm planning to do next set. Because I'm like, okay, I've never played Emerald. This will be a chance. So I was very excited because I told my husband, I was like, I'm gonna play Emerald Amethyst. He's like, I don't think anyone plays that. Look at it. There's 2 in the top 2. So this one's to you, Jeff. But I thought it's fun. I think it's such a fun little deck, Emerald Amethyst. And I think it's gonna get better in set. I think all these decks are gonna get better in set 5. Which, there was a couple decks that I saw in the top, not 8, that I thought were exciting and notable. We already talked about that. I thought it was exciting and notable that a non-Bucky deck made it to the top 32. Dale Baito, probably didn't say his name right, but he made the top 32 with an Emerald Steel, no Bucky. But then you look at the deck list, and we've got things like Beast and Tinkerbell Giant Fairy and Ursula Singing Twice. So, I mean, it's a problematic deck. Just on its own without Bucky.
Now Dale here is a professional Yu-Gi-Oh player. And
Oh, really?
So this deck is actually completely foiled out as well, included the foil Cinderellas. So shout out to that deck because I saw a picture of it and I was like, man, that is beautiful.
It's a good intimidation strategy too, right? If you
Yeah.
see someone's deck and you're like, well, that's too
Well, how
pretty.
many enchanteds can I really play? And this deck has a lot of them.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, it really is. No Enchanted Friar Tuck yet.
Mm,
Maybe one day.
Why?
Now the other 2 decks I thought were interesting. One I thought was interesting, but it turns out is not that interesting because Kylie, you played one that's basically the same. I was like, oh, look at this Emerald Ruby deck where they had Brawl. So I mean, if anything, yours was more. Or no, is this the one or didn't have Brawl in it?
Does
This one
there?
has
Oh,
No,
it
it
does.
does.
Now, now that you've played, do you kind of wish you had some removal, or do you think you didn't need it? You're too zooed out for.
I wish I had Brawl.
Yeah, great
If
clutch ones.
If I could add any action or song like that into my deck, I think I would want to add Brawl. Definitely.
Yeah, I love it. It's such a cheap. That card in World's Greatest Criminal Mind is such a. It feels dirty but great. Like when
Mhm.
singing World's Greatest Criminal Mind with your 1-drop Cinderella to get rid of a Chernobog is the most. My soul floats out of my body because it just feels so good doing something so cheap to get rid of something so big. And the last one I thought, now you pointed this out, Dan, was this very interesting. I didn't even know what to call it. I just called it Ruby Sapphire Alice Locations.
Yeah, this deck
I don't even-
is sweet.
It is. It's very cool because Alice, Alice first came out, I was like, well, how is this gonna work? And finally, they cooked, and
Yeah, I would I could just imagine being like a player in the top 64 and then getting the email and you're going, "Oh, I'm playing against Ruby Sapphire in the first round." Like, "All right, my matchup's like it's okay, whatever." And all of a sudden you open the deck list, you're like, well, "What is this?"
yeah,
like when someone pointed this out to me, I'm like, "What is this?"
Mhm.
it's disorienting. Yeah, when
Yeah.
you play against a deck and you're like, yeah, I think I get it, and then they play the next card, you're like, I don't get it. What are you doing? What are
Yeah.
you?
I mean, don't get me wrong, like if you really look at this deck, like if you're like turn 1 Li Shang, your opponent's like plays
Yeah.
that card. Like, like, and then you follow up with the Ana. Like, the Ana, like, got a little hype around it and things like that. But your opponent would be very confused on turn 2 if you went turn 1 Li Shang, turn 2 Ana. I think most players were like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would.
It's really interesting seeing it because it doesn't have that much ramp in it, even though it's Sapphire. It doesn't have like all that much removal being Ruby. It's just like
It's an
is
anomaly.
nuts, and I love it.
But it has super goofs, guys.
Yes,
It has
Yes,
super-
I
it
was
has super
just gonna
fully
say
mixed.
the amount of super goof representation
Loving it.
in the top like 64-32. I'm living for it.
Yeah, I would.
Super goof for the win.
I
Chef's kiss.
100% would have lost a bet for the over under on super goofs if I made one. 100%.
Yeah.
Would have lost.
He's an amazing card.
Yeah. He was doing a lot this weekend.
Yes, he was.
I do. Now, this is Jordan Marchand. I'd love to know how they came up with this. Because, yeah, I think that's one of the exciting parts now that I think we're allowed to say PB is extinct. I think it's fun how some of these decks just pop up and you're just like, what are you doing? Like in the DLC, I played against a Ruby Steel deck. And every turn, I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah, this definitely looks like a deck that you would have chucked into lab mode and just been like, I'm going to play 10 games with this and see what happens.
Yeah. So it's beautiful to see. And I wonder, yeah, like how much miles did they put on this deck before? Did they just cook it up and be like, let's go play it? I have to know. So I'm sure. I always just assume everybody that plays has a account somewhere, but that's not the case. Some people don't have social media and they just play for fun.
Yeah.
So that's crazy to think about. Now, the very last question I have is, so, the breakdown is not super surprising. I mean, the ink color one was surprising. I did kind of break down what the top 64 inks use, which I guess that's 138. Nope, that's not the math. 128. And steel seems to be the most popular choice forever. So it feels like steel is, prevalent and will remain prevalent. But was there any cards that, like, as you've been opening packs of packs 3 weeks, where you're like, I cannot wait to put this in the deck, or we already know Daisy Duck for you, but a card that's so exciting to you that you're like, I'm gonna put it in a deck, or I'm gonna build a deck exclusively for this card? And I'll start with you, Dan. What is the card that you're like, and you don't have to give away the trade secrets because I know you're competitive, but
I'll be honest, I did not play a game with Set 5 Constructed until this morning. We did like a 4-hour stream this morning, me and Dick Burns. It was the first time I played with Set 5 cards in Set 1 through 5 Constructed. So there was definitely some cards I was really excited for. For me, I think it's Mufasa more than anything. I'm definitely not going to sit here and tell you that it's going to be like a meta warping card or anything like that, but I think the text box of that character, the strength and willpower of that character, it has a lot of check marks that make it be like the most interesting card in the set. Any world where we get to untap with that card, I like the stuff that you can do is just going to be like incredible. So I'm very interested, if Mufasa is going to be like a meta defining card, or just like even just like a meta piece at all, or if it's just gonna be like, nope, 8 cost uninkable, can't rely on it, just gonna die to everything, and then we just move on life. But I do feel like depending on how the metagame shifts, it has a chance. But now that Emerald has like free spot removal and things like that, it might be really difficult.
I have not read it because every time I look at that card, I get scared, and I just like, no, this is
It's the coolest
for
looking
future me to
card
worry
in the
about.
set. It's so cool looking.
It is, yeah, but it's too scary. Now, some people, like in my local Discord, wonder, is Merlin being slept on? It is a first tutor. It's a tutor. But it's a conditional tutor,
Yeah.
and also there's no baby Merlin. That's really good to
Well, I
shift
mean,
on.
there
so
are Merlins to shift on, but
not
uh,
some great ones
Colors,
yet, right?
Yeah.
I know there aren't that many of them, but I'm pretty sure that all of the cards that read "you must shift to get the ability" are like all unplayable,
Yeah,
and like he's a 6-cost uninkable. Like
it's
if
true.
you don't shift him, he does nothing. So
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Alma can go get magicals whenever she wants.
That's
So
Yeah.
it.
think about
Yeah.
that. Alma's has no wrist strings. I mean, you have to get magical, so
Yeah.
some strings.
I just feel like what is Merlin even looking for? Because it's going to be probably in a Sapphire Amethyst deck. Like,
Yeah.
what do you need bad enough to shift
goat.
him in there?
You
Yeah,
just
maybe
got to
a
get that
goat.
goat. You're like, Merlin, come on, it's time for bouncing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the coolest thing he can do is like shift a whole new world. You're just like
Yeah.
find that card, but then you have to play like really bad Merlins in your deck.
Yeah.
It's true.
He might be interesting in the Emerald versions with Morph. You know, I think Morph is a very solid card that you can be
I
playing
always
the
forget
lore
about
of.
him.
So like, I think that might be a chance. But yeah, I'm with you. Like in Amethyst, like what am I searching for? Like what impactful card? I'm like, yeah, I gotta tutor that. I don't see it.
Well, I will say, I assume, Kylie, you're not looking forward to anything because you have Goofy and you're happy.
Well,
but
no,
just in case.
I
is there any
had-
other-
yeah, like I said, I'm an aggro player, so I am definitely wanting to put Daisy in my deck. Also, gathering knowledge and wisdom.
Yes.
Mm.
Just
Just
so
because,
exciting.
boom, put it out, gain 2 lore, my kind of game.
Yes.
So-
I want to do that with Do It Again. I'm going to make it
Mhm.
work. I'm going to Do It Again, Knowledge and Wisdom.
And we're never gonna ink past 3.
Yeah, I don't need to. I'm out here just. I don't even need a quest. I'm gonna just go Knowledge and Wisdom, Do It Again. Be like,
Spellbook.
guess what? I'm not quest.
Right? Get the
There
spellbook
you
in
go.
there. It's fine.
Yeah, it'll be perfect.
You're not
I'm
gonna have like
excited.
any inkables in your deck. You don't need. It's fine.
Yeah. In this economy, not
Like
me.
we talking about, I play Goat. Like yeah, that's what you're inking because you don't have any others.
But yeah, gathering knowledge and wisdom is so delightful that it's just like this cheap coupon. I feel like it's a coupon. Like it's like a coupon for like, and I
Yeah.
get 2 lore. Thank you.
Mhm.
That's what I have here. It's a voucher for 2 lore. So I agree with you there. That is beautiful. Although another one that I think hasn't been, I think some people have talked about it, is it Emerald Chromacon? There's like one that is obviously I need to look it up because every time I read it, I'm like, this
I
is
think
gonna be
Amethyst is the one that's most talked about. The draw a card. Emerald's very interesting also, because it gets the bounce cards.
good. Yeah, and I need to do some
Because you
balancing.
send it back to the hand, right? You can
Yes.
choose
Yeah.
character to.
Yeah.
That's Emerald Chromicon.
You
Yeah.
have one.
Yeah, and so that one I think could be spicy because I'm
Mm.
all about recycling in my new deck. So I'm cooking. I'm in the kitchen. I'm brewing. So we know Daisy Duck. Are there any cards that you two are thrilled about?
I'm like Dan. Like I'm really excited about that Mufasa. I don't know which deck he fits into, but it just seems like such a bonkers card that I want to play it and I want to abuse it. But other than that, like I really love Prince Naveen. I feel like maybe this is the set where I'm gonna move back to Steel Song just because of Naveen, because that's another
Yes.
card that just like being able to play something for free just seems like too good to turn down, really.
It's beautiful. I built.
And it's beautiful.
I got one in sealed, and I put songs. And I really never put songs in my sealed deck because I'm like, ugh, what are the odds?
What
But
did
I
you
had
even,
Naveen.
like, what did you even put in your deck? In sealed?
Well, I had
In sealed, what's-
Strike a Good
Revive.
Match, Mother's No
in
Best. It was,
sealed? What
yeah, it
kind of
was
seal was this?
it was 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 5s.
Okay.
So,
all right.
it
Well,
was-
that
it
had
was-
good cards in it to actually play. So
Yes.
that I got.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I put it in my sealed deck. I'm like, set 5 sealed. Like, what songs?
She's crazy,
I'm like,
but
what,
no,
what
I made
songs
it
do we
work.
have?
I had Alan Adale. Did I come in 5th place? Yeah, but
Fifth out of.
You had fun doing it.
out of 12. So I'm still in the top half.
Yeah, top half. You're good.
Yeah,
We take this.
so
We take this.
and I still got to go on with Naveen. So that's a win all around.
That paid for the sealed, so.
It did. It did. Sealed's my favorite because I'm like, I already won 6 packs. So, well, those are, I mean, I think they're all very exciting cards. I have 4 boxes downstairs that I am very excited to tear into. I've already opened all. I can't. The good
Okay,
news is on
okay.
this call, I can't feel bad because I know somebody on this call has opened far more than 4 boxes. Yeah. Yeah.
More than
It's like
4?
Christmas.
Do we take a guess? I mean, it's a lot more than 4.
I saw
Heck,
some pictures.
Yeah.
Was it 25 cases?
30?
Okay.
32.
Yeah, 30.
How many had enchanteds in it? Because this is my
Uh,
number one.
29 of them had enchanteds in them
Oh,
for a
that's
total of
good.
31 enchanteds.
So some had
Okay.
2.
they're
Yes.
full enchanted.
So I purchased 2 cases, and both had no enchanteds.
Oh,
and I have
okay.
my third case is downstairs, and if after that one I'm burned, I'm like,
Maybe odds
I'm quitting the game.
forever be
You're gonna
in your
get
favorite.
you.
No,
Enchanted.
listen.
You're gonna get you.
Okay.
We you know, we probably opened at minimum 60 boxes of every set, right? At minimum. And Rise of the Floodborn was the worst. I mean, we were I think we got like maybe like 5 enchanteds out of the 60 boxes. So
Oh
like
my
it was like
God.
I think we went like I think if I remember correctly, it was like 227 packs before, like between enchanteds. Like it was like actually insane.
Wow.
Like wow, I can't believe we had that many. So it happens, you know. Like it is what it is. The luck
Yeah.
is there, unfortunately. So it's not a
Yeah.
guarantee, which I know some people really want it to be. They're like, oh, I really wish like it was just guaranteed that like if I bought a case, I'd get an enchanted, because it would help the math. Like it would help like the cost. Like, oh, if I get an enchanted, and then let's just say it's $100. Like it's $100 off
Yeah.
your cards, which would be great.
Yeah.
But if it were guaranteed, I think the market would actually be like way worse for enchanteds.
Yeah.
So
Someone started that thread, right? They were like, if there's an enchanted in every case, then people will just buy more cases, and I just don't think psychologically that makes sense. Like, there's that whole thing in gambling, right? If you give the reward at like a fixed interval, that people don't get as addicted if
Yeah.
it's random.
well,
Because
it's
they're always chasing that. Like, and I think it's the same with enchanted.
well, it's weird too, because I don't want to get too geeky or like anything like that, but you know they're about to release in China, and China's gambling laws are very, very interesting. So I think for the
Yeah.
first time, we might actually hear like a true official statement of like pull rates for the cards,
That's true.
where
Because yeah, that's why Wizards of the Coast had to finally, as they were in a market where they're
They
like,
just-
you need to tell
you
it. You have to
literally
disclose.
like they just otherwise it's just gambling and it's illegal and all those things. So it's very possible that whenever that officially happens, that we'll get. I think we're gonna get an official statement. That's my
I
guess.
imagine
No.
the statement is there's no rules behind it. It's
Yeah,
just a
we don't
mess.
know.
It's just a mess.
We have
Yeah.
a monkey in a factory that just puts them in there.
Yeah.
That's how
It's
I felt with
it's just a boo.
Ursul's Return.
A boo is just mess
especially,
with
right?
everybody.
Yeah, that's how it
Ursula-
feels. They'll be
Ursul's
like,
Return
actually,
was really bad. Yeah, for
Yeah.
fools, for us. Yeah.
I got an Elsa, and then it was my curse, because then after that,
Oh.
I used up all my luck, and then I was like, I got 2 Pridelands. And I was
Opened
like,
up 2 L's.
that's pretty
Oh,
crazy. Well, now
yeah.
you need 2 more
No.
for
okay.
playset. That's how it works.
Yeah, we're only sitting on one else
Clear
as
what-
well.
what-
Yeah. All right. Well, between us, we have a playset of Elsas,
There you
and
go.
that's something.
Perfect.
That's
Yes.
perfect. Well, I appreciate you guys for spending your night with me. I'm sure we could talk for a long time about all this stuff, because it's so exciting that like we're routine 2 metas. Like I love looking backwards, but I'm also like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till the first challenge. I can't wait to see Vegas's list, because Vegas is next, right? That's coming up just around the river bend,
Less
as
than a
Disney
month
would say.
already.
It's crazy. I won't be there, so it's gonna be me sadly watching the cast. But I love watching the cast. It's so fun to have like, it's like football Sunday, Saturday, but it's Disney Lorcana. So before we say goodbye, though, I'm sure most people know where to find and follow you. But you know, just in case there's like a few people who don't, I'll start with you, Charlie, Matheus. Where can people find and follow you and your work?
You can
Yeah.
do it, Matheus will do it.
So we are Inkborn Heroes. We are on YouTube and Instagram in a daily basis on Instagram and maybe weekly basis on YouTube. And we also have our Discord server, so you can just look for the address anywhere of the
Yeah,
social
come
media.
hang with
Find
us.
the link. And also we have actually a website as well, inkbornheroes.com. That is kind of where we list the high res of some of the card trackers, because we like doing card trackers for new set and other things. So just go check it out. But yeah, Inkborn Heroes.
Yeah, your graphics are beautiful. Are they done in house? Like, are one of you like the person doing the graphics?
Doing the graphics.
Oh,
It's
we
so
take
pretty.
turns.
Okay.
So
He's
Charlie,
like, it's all me.
No, no.
Someone in Toronto was like I sat down to play a game, and he's like, "Oh, you're part of the Inkborn Heroes team. Like, how many people are you?" And I was like, "Oh, it's just me
That's
and my
two.
husband."
Exactly, yeah, pretty much
You
it.
found us. It's all.
Charlie is the video editing magician. I'm more on the image side of things, so Instagram and so on. but obviously he does the images as well. But I think I'm more active on Instagram.
Matheus runs the account.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, beautiful stuff. I'm always.
Thank you
It's
so
funny
much.
because my husband's like, I found this really good channel that's really helpful. It's called Inkborn Heroes. I'm like, I know Inkborn Heroes. So speaking of people that people in the know about, where Dan and Kylie can people find and follow your journeys in Lorcana?
Dan, you go first.
First and foremost, during the reveal season, these guys are, I mean, like A+. Like
I
that's all
love
up
every
to-
time
Thank you so
their
much.
new cards get released. I get so excited on Instagram to see all like Ruby,
Yeah.
Sapphire.
Yeah,
I'm like,
hey,
oh,
just-
Inkborn Heroes, and I scroll
I'm-
through and I'm like, yes.
I'm fairly confident that I just took the group project on some of these, and I was just like, yeah, go check out these guys because
Yeah, you're the
I'm gonna
citation.
share it,
Yeah.
but like these guys did all the work.
Yeah.
Literally.
So much. I feel like I got older just by doing that. To be on top of it.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah. It's very nice when we're not in spoiler season.
Yeah.
As like it's like this weird situation. You're like, oh, I can't wait, and you're like, you know what? I'll take a few weeks. It's okay. Like we're good.
It's starting soon.
I like the beginning when one card comes out. Like
Mm.
one time Baby Pegasus came out, and that was all we talked about for 3 days. So that's all we had.
Yeah.
So that is my favorite.
Yeah.
The beginning when we're all like,
It's when
"What
they
do you think
announce,
about-"
right? Because
Yeah.
they announce a new set, you get a few cards, and
Yeah.
then we have what 2 or 3 weeks
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, just
nothing.
So we're
40
like
cards a
literally.
day.
I look at Charlie. It's like we need to do a lot of content. We have 3 weeks to do other content that is not news, and
Yeah.
that is just news.
Yeah. Well, that's like
Yeah.
because like the Lorecast, the first 2 Lorecasts were basically like, oh, here's like 15 to 20 cards, and then
Yeah.
and then crickets, just
Yeah.
crickets. You're
You're
like,
like,
oh,
well, I guess I can talk about that. And then then there's
Like-
like 40 cards that came out overnight. And you're
yeah,
like, what happened?
Yeah, you went
What did I
to
miss?
you literally went to bed. You woke up. You're like, oh, I guess I have work this morning. Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much.
We are the Forbidden Mountain. We cover the meta normally as our weekly video is our number one thing. We do interviews with winners of tournaments and things like that. Did interview Mr. David Nunes, which will be coming out very soon, probably. I'm not sure exactly when this comes out, but probably be out. So if you're looking to hear from Nunes' story, he's the guy that won the tour. Well, almost won the tournament, second place finalist. But yeah, we're on TFM Lorcana. I think that's our tag pretty much everywhere except for Instagram because like something really weird happened on Instagram and I had to change it and I'm actually just the Forbidden Mountain on Instagram, but you know.
That Instagram will do that to you. I'm
Yeah.
Lorekeepers in HQ on Instagram.
Yeah, we had TFM Lorcana and then they like banned the account and I had to change it and I don't really know why and I just like whatever, I didn't feel like fighting it and I went Forbidden Mountain.
I think people will be able to find you. That's the good
Yeah.
news. If they don't know where to find them, just look for someone in a jersey and follow them. You'll get there.
Yeah.
And if they haven't checked out the Forbidden Mountain, I've got to say, like, I think there are a lot of great Lorcana content creators, but I don't know if there are that many that you can watch a video and feel like you've learned something at the end of it. And like,
Yeah.
I think recently watching the one about tech cards, I think like those kind of topics are super, super interesting. And I think you make it super accessible, whether
Mhm.
people like know the game or whether they don't. So like, yeah, it's such a great channel.
100%.
Yeah, this has been my most stressful episode to prepare for because I'm like, these are people that I've been watching for like a whole year and I'm really stressed out because like I want these are like the top of the top of like people who make quality stuff. So it was very exciting. And Kylie, where can people find you and your blossoming Lorcana journey?
Well, on Twitter, I'm at TFM_Kylie. And on Instagram, it's Kylie Arnold backwards.
We gotta just change that.
Okay.
You gotta change that. You just gotta make
Hey,
it
no.
TFM Kylie everywhere.
We've learned that
should,
Instagram is a special place.
Yeah, by the time this comes out, it'll probably be TFM_Kylie on Instagram as well. So, but
She's a traveling gamer now, guys.
I am.
Yeah.
You take
You get the
so
handle.
one DLC, and she's like, "What? I gotta go to the mall." So, yeah.
Listen, in Toronto's DLC, I finished with 33 points, and I was so close to the 40.
Yeah.
But I said, you know what? It's my first DLC. It's my first ever card game. I think I did pretty well. I'm going to wear my 33 points with pride.
You did
You should.
amazing.
And
That
in
is
Seattle, I'm going to get to that 40 points. Hopefully I can get further and I can get to day 2. That would be great. but my goal is 40 points for Seattle.
Amazing. Be cheering.
We'll be cheering for sure.
Yeah, I will be liking the photo once you say that you did.
With your golden mic.
With the
Right,
golden
yeah, I know.
imagine.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, right. If
My
you,
heart-
yeah, maybe
my
don't
heart
get one
couldn't
before
take
Dan.
that.
That might cause some.
No, I would. Oh my god, I would love it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's true. It'd be
Right.
like, I did the. Look at this.
Yeah.
I
Well,
did it in here.
actually, in this tournament, I did better than Dan, and that's worth more than a golden Mickey to me.
It truly is, and the master has surpassed the Padawan, or wait,
Yeah.
the opposite.
You
Either
said
way.
that the wrong way. It's okay. We all
It is.
understood.
But we
Yeah.
got it. We got the gist.
We all got there. Well, thank you again so much. Like I said, this has been one of the greatest honors of my show so far. So
Thank you
I
for
love hearing
having
your guys'
us.
insights.
Honestly.
Yes,
Very nice.
thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you to the listeners for joining me for another episode. As you know, there's always room for more at the end. So if you have anything you want me to talk about, feel free to email me at contact@thelorekeepersin.com or reach me on Twitter or Instagram, link below. As always, thank you for hanging out with me today. We are always happy to have you stop by the inn, wherever your quest may take you. And if you don't know where to find us, just take the second start of the right exit and head straight on till morning.